Hello, my name is Jake, and I'm going to be talking about the environment today. So the environment is a really hot topic today in media, and with good reason. And I'm here to tell you that, unlike popular belief, livestock does more damage to the environment than transportation. And I'm going to do that through the fact of greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, and water use and pollution. So my first point is that the livestock sector generates more greenhouse gas emissions as measured in a CO2 equivalent than transportation. So as you all know, greenhouse gases are any gases that trap and collect heat in the atmosphere, and these include carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxides, and they all have a different global warming potential, which is how much they warm the atmosphere in comparison to carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide has a GWP of 1 over a 100-year period, methane has a value of 25, and nitrous oxides have a value of 298. And the lifetimes in the atmosphere for carbon dioxide is pretty debated since it doesn't dissipate naturally. And methane is 12 years and nitrous oxides last 112 years. So according to the EPA, global emissions from CO2 from fossil fuels is 57%, and the carbon dioxide emissions from deforestation is 17%. Methane equates to 14%, and nitrous oxides contribute 8%. Now, according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, livestock equates to, or contributes, 18% of the total greenhouse gases emissions worldwide, whereas transportation only contributes 13% of this total. So that brings me to my next point of deforestation. Agriculture is contributed to 80% of the deforestation worldwide, which eliminates the natural carbon sink of trees. Trees absorb the carbon and get rid of it from the atmosphere, and obviously taking the trees down gets rid of that. According to the Environmental Defense Fund, 32 million acres of tropical rainforest were cut down each year between 2000 and 2009. Now, these trees were cut down for land for livestock to graze, as well as for plants for feed crops, which are the biggest cause of deforestation. Obviously, this is bad because all the trees that are cut down are no longer absorbing carbon dioxide, which goes back into the atmosphere after they're cut down. My last point is water use and pollution. According to a Norwegian scientist, Oextra, agricultural production accounts for 92% of our water footprint. Now, this is because for every usable pound of meat generated by a chicken, pork, or beef, take a certain amount of water. Now, for chicken, that's 518 gallons per pound. Pork is 718 gallons a pound, and beef is 1,874 gallons a pound. So if you have a 1,200 pound cow and you have 490 pounds of trimmed beef off of that, that equates to over 918,000 gallons of water for one cow. And America produced over 26 billion pounds of beef in 2012, which is over 48 trillion gallons of water total. Now, in addition, the animal waste is absorbed into the groundwater, and more than 40 diseases can be transferred to humans through manure, such as Salmonella, E. coli, and fecal coliform. And there's a huge waste management issue for all the livestock. There are huge open air waste lagoons that are often as big as several football fields, and they're very prone to leaking and spillage. Back in 1995, an 8-acre hog waste lagoon in North Carolina burst, spilling over 25 million gallons of manure into the New River. This spill killed about 10 million fish and closed over 364,000 acres of coastal wetlands to shellfishing. And more recently, in 2011, an Illinois hog farm spilled over 200,000 gallons of manure into a creek, killing over 110,000 fish. And so to summarize, livestock does more damage to the environment than transportation through the generation of greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, and water use and pollution.
Okay, Jake, the proposition was pretty clearly identified. I thought it was kind of interesting that you used the term hot topic as your attention device when we've got global warming issues going on there. That's kind of funny. There was an excellent preview of what the secondary points are going to be. It's actually more general than just global warming issues, so that's fine, because that third point is really all about other kinds of contaminants and pollution. What I didn't quite understand is why there's a controversy on this. You were describing things that may in fact be true, but why does it matter which one is causing the greater degree of damage to the planet or causing the greatest amount of pollution? I think you need to explain some point that you were trying to make here. Either that we spend all of our time and energy focusing on transportation as a place to try and control pollution-related issues, and as a consequence we ignore this other thing, or maybe there's an argument that says that this is going to get worse in the future and we haven't been paying enough attention to it and so we need to pay more attention to it. Like I said, otherwise it just sounds like you're describing something that might very well be true, but I'm not sure that anybody doubts that it's true, so why do we have to have an argument about it? So I think you needed a little more explanation of the controversy. The secondary points are clearly cited in the course of the speech, and I think you explained most of the basics behind the assumptions there. You do need to demonstrate a little more clearly that the deforestation that's taking place in the rainforest is due primarily to agricultural purposes. You said it, but I didn't remember hearing a very specific piece of information on that. And then there was another one that was similar to that, where there was, there was a claim, but I didn't hear the data on that claim. The apparent factual data that you have at the beginning about the amount of water that is used to produce all the beef and pigs and chickens and all those sorts of things. I know that information came from someplace. I do think you need to source that a little bit more clearly. And the water footprint issue, I need to know why the amount of water that we use is related to something. Is there some harmful consequence that occurs because of that? Because you mentioned 48 trillion gallons. Well, I would imagine if we put that in perspective, that's a lot of water for you and me, and probably for the state of California, but I'm not sure, in context, how big an issue that is. And they've used it. Has it disappeared? Can it never be used again? Is it always released in polluted form? Does it always have contaminants? I'm not sure why that's a bad thing. The spills on the second point, it was a little iffy at first, because your one example on this is 1995, so we've got something that's more than 20 years old here that you're dealing with. And then I did appreciate that you had a second example that was more contemporary. I thought that was helpful. 10 10 million fish, that's a lot of fish, I guess. Although, again, context-wise, it may not be as much as I think it is. I think you need to, because you're doing a kind of comparative argument, so I think we need to have a little bit more comparative information. All right, thank you.